Sometimes you don't realize what you've done until you've seen the damage. And now look at the damage.
Well, first of all, I want to apologize for my tardiness with actually African American business leaders. And so what I really wish is that you all and them were in the same room.
Right.
Because a lot of the conversation that surprised many panel members is really about the issues you're talking about right here. And it's so important that these conversations begin to happen across generational lines, because here's some things about data that's not just about African American males, but it's about how it affects you all. For the first time in our workplaces, we have literally 5 generations, all assembled at the same time. So I want you to think about that the 2 largest of those generations are baby boomers, and who was the other? Millennials. Right? I also think that, to the judge's point about cognitive thinking, actually most insurance companies make a decision to roll those rates at what age? 25. Because actually your cognitive decision making doesn't really mature until you're 25 years old. Right? But what I want us to do in these conversations is dig a little bit more into data, particularly as I look at African American males in general and how we categorize them. So I'm going to just give you 2 quick examples. I'm on a development committee for the police department. And so one of the things that I brought to attention was when we're looking at drug bust and the amount of black males representing over 70% of those incarcerated right here in Mecklenburg, right? So here's what's interesting, a lot about this drug bust. The CDC released a study that showed that African Americans actually were the least likely to have drugs on their person or use drugs. CDC, government source. Least likely. So my question became, well, how is it then that they represent such high portions of drug offenses? Right? So one is obviously policing and where we police. I get it. But here was something else that I wanted to think about, because I really started digging deep into it, and I came to one of the conclusions was that a lot of these drug busts were obviously open market sales, meaning that they were out in public spaces, right? But think about this. Many other groups that actually had possessed drugs and did drugs more were actually doing in private property settings. So the notion of ownership, home ownership, what you own, literally, is helping also define arrest. Think about it. So I want us to dig deeper into data and not just look at what's there, but what do you see missing? What are some of the other questions that we need to ask? Another one, and this notion of the inactivity of black fathers in the lives of black males. Another CDC study, 2013. African American males, on average, are more engaged than any other group. African American males, more engaged, CDC found, than any other group with their children. But here's where it comes. When we look at statistics and we say that 72% of black families, right, have children who are born out of wedlock, that is true. But it doesn't mean that there are not fathers there, because actually there are fathers in 2.5 million households compared to fathers not being in 1.7 million households where there's children. So really, the question is, how do we help, right, inspire marriage in those engaged fathers, right, as opposed to just saying that they're not there, because the reality is that many of them are. So we have to play to the strength. So what is the strength in that? The strength is that we know they have higher engagement scores. So then how do we use that? right, to help further our cause. So again, I hope that as we have these conversations, we dig deep into data, start looking at what's not there. And then oftentimes, I've found that where we have the biggest mistakes is not in our passion about the issue, it's not even about data, but it is about asking the right question. It's about asking the right question.